SUI is one of the best crypto altcoins of this bull run, and in this video, we're going to figure out just how good it really is by having a look at the recent announcements on the coin, good and bad, my thoughts on those, but most importantly, for all those wanting a price prediction, well, we're going to get into that later on in this video. It's not my personal thoughts. We're actually diving much deeper than that. We're having a look at how much money is actually required to move SUI to some of the prices many people are saying the coin could go to. So with that being said, let's begin. Now, looking at SUI's price chart alone, I think it shows a lot of strength, at least compared to the rest of the altcoin market. You can see here, altcoins have really suffered, all right? While Bitcoin has kind of been up and down in this ascending channel, of course, altcoins have been up and down as well, but they've kind of always found themselves back to these sort of same lows, roughly. But you can see SUI is a bit of a different beast because this coin's kind of always grown. At least it's put in higher lows since the last time we dipped by quite a lot, actually. To be exact, it's actually up right now, almost a 7x, which is pretty incredible for the coin. And from low to low, it's about a 4x. So like I said, SUI is obviously a much stronger altcoin versus the altcoin market, again, when you pull up the market cap here. And if you have a look at the dominance levels of SUI, which is super important to look at because this tells us, okay, how much stronger is SUI versus the whole market? You begin to get a bit of a better picture here. So you can see that the coin from lows to now, okay, when I say lows, I mean back in October of 2023, it's up almost a 9x, which is incredible considering the average here is about a 42% gain, which again is nowhere close to 700%. If we look along this timeline a bit more, you can see here SUI's yearly performance is actually down 13% versus the market. But again, it's looking here at Bitcoin. Okay, so it's obviously down, but most altcoins are down. So the average is down 44%. So respects to the average altcoin, SUI's not doing all that bad. It's actually outperforming the average altcoin. Well, what about yearly performance versus altcoins? Well, again, SUI is still down here, but it's not down as much as the average. Okay, the average here is down 57%. SUI is only down 33%. And this is dominance we're talking about. This isn't just price alone. This is the coin strength in the market, also comparing it to the other altcoins. And as I said, lastly here, lows to now versus alt. So the lows back here in about April to now, has the coin outperformed the other altcoins? Okay, the average is down 17% and SUI's actually up 6%. So it's beating most altcoins, aka it's reacted really well recently to the move Bitcoin has made since, again, around April down here. So what this tells me overall is SUI is likely seen to most people as one of the more strong coins. And if you have a look at who's really behind this and who's promoting it, guys like Raul Paul, guys like Peter from House of Crypto, and many others, all right, it has a very strong presence in the influencer space, all right, people of influence. And that obviously has a cascading effect down to retail, people like you and I, because if a lot of the big boys who have a lot of influence in the market love the coin and always talk about it, you're always going to find new money coming in, buying the dips. That's probably why it's performed so well. And of course, people aren't more inclined to sell when the market does fall down. So seeing as we've had a little taste here into a mini alt season from when the market pumped from in August back to around January of this year, you can see SUI's dominance here went through the roof. It actually almost 7x. And again, this is dominance, guys. Okay, so this is SUI growing 7 times faster than the market growing at that time. And the market actually grew about a 2.5x. So SUI 7x outperformed the market on average, which is incredible to do. And you can even see here, it's just always strong in bullish momentum. So we put in a massive green candle here in its dominance when the market rebounded here. So like I said, people love the coin and the growth tends to show that. So I can only imagine what happens when we actually have full-blown alt season. Yes, I am one of the very few people who still believes there will be an alt season. And if it does happen, I see SUI's strength only going up from there. Now, of course, that's just my thoughts and opinions. I'm not saying that as financial advice. Just based on how we've seen SUI perform so far, it's only ever outperformed the market when the market goes up. Now, like I said, there's been good and bad news with SUI recently, and I'll start with the bad news, as any good or bad news situation should always begin. And that is regarding the Cetus hack. Now, one of SUI's top ecosystem projects, Cetus, was actually hacked. where about $220 million was stolen. Now, about 163 odd million were actually frozen by the validators. So the validators, not SUI Foundation, not anyone else, but the validators securing the network said, hey guys, let's come together and all agree to block this address. Now, this is still in line with decentralization. People think this is centralization. No, it's not, okay? If 100 people in a room all agree on the same thing, then that same thing should happen, okay? That's just called democracy. That's called still decentralization, and that's kind of what happened in this case. So a majority of it was actually frozen, and so that means the hacker couldn't transfer funds out. And in this case, it seems like once a vote does ensue here on Cetus and the community agrees, those funds will hopefully be given back, and there possibly could be some external help from the SUI Foundation or other sources to reinstate the rest of the $220 million stolen in this hack. And I think the professionalism, I think the speed in which this was all handled was A-class by SUI. And that's just my opinion. Of course, everyone may have their own. But like I said here, this will blow over. And most of these things always do, unless it is a hack that completely destroys the project in terms of the very network itself. In this case, Cetus being an app on SUI, the SUI code itself wasn't hacked or anything like that, then of course it will be all guns blazing, I think, for the rest of the bull run. You can see here, Cetus is doing a great job, I think, of working out a solution and path forward. So I'm not too fussed about it. You can see the DEX volume on SUI is still all at highs. This last month, they put in $13 billion, even with, you can see Cetus down here, not doing all that much since obviously the hack. So when this spins up again, things should begin to accumulate. And you can see here, the cumulative volume will likely continue to skyrocket all in all. SUI, by the way, is still inside the top 10 of highest TVL chains in crypto. You can see here, even with all this happening, it's still increased by 15% on the week, okay? Obviously, the 1 month is down a little bit, but it's still doing quite well, all things considered. And let's not forget, I think the most important thing I'm looking for now in the layer one coins I buy, right, the foundation for the ecosystem like Ethereum, again, SUI and so on, is a growing stablecoin presence. And you can see here, SUI stablecoin in green, its market cap is going up and up. Actually, if you have a close look here on Artemis, you can see just how fast it's going. It's growing exponentially, basically. Now, why is this important? Well, if you think about it, stablecoins are the M2 money supply of Bitcoin. As we have more stablecoins in an ecosystem like SUI, that means that people are likely going to park that into the ecosystem applications. Now, when that happens, okay, we have more growth in the ecosystem. It incentivizes more developers, right, to come on and build on that platform. And it makes the developers who are already building on SUI want to make a better product. Overall, it's just really good for the ecosystem. So I'm looking for this because I believe it's a bit of a spiral into that particular layer one itself growing. Because if you have an ecosystem, right, because of TVL or because of, ecosystem apps doing really, really well, what happens is people see that and go, wow, SUI's TVL is exploding, SUI's volume is exploding, then I go buy SUI. All right, so it has this cascading effect down to the retail investor. So this is very, very good. And again, DeFi on SUI isn't slowing down. And I think here's the good news, right? The really, really good news is that SUI's growing in this direction because they understand in order for the project itself, right, to get the same growth you would expect from Bitcoin or Ethereum or like larger caps, basically the coins that everyone knows, household names, you have to make it easy for people to want to buy or be able to buy. And so you can see here, they've had some pretty big updates with a coin called Slush. It's actually a wallet. They've created this. It's actually come from Myson Labs, the guys who built SUI. And it's pretty much a very, very easy way to onboard your crypto or your fiat into the ecosystem. So basically, you can actually use your Google account or Facebook account to create, your own wallet. You don't need a private key. It eliminates all the BS that comes along with creating a MetaMask account or a Phantom wallet. Okay, it allows retail to really come on board. They've also had Phantom itself. All right, Phantom fully integrated now into SUI, which means we're going to have, you can see, Ethereum, Base, and Solana money be able to easily merge its way into SUI and its ecosystem. Again, creating that flywheel. We can also see here that SUI is now supported on Binance Alpha. Now, this, of course, is going to unlock a whole bunch of stuff, mainly to do with airdrops. So ecosystem airdrops and all the rest of it will now be available to a lot more people. So again, it's all ecosystem related. We also have Stacks, which is a Bitcoin project looking to leverage Bitcoin in like DeFi capabilities. They're now working with SUI or on SUI, okay, which is fantastic. I think right now there's about $200 million worth of Bitcoin-related DeFi TVL on SUI. So again, it's a massive vertical that SUI is trying to approach here. And again, it's happening quite quickly. This was actually all announced at Basecamp in Dubai, where I was at. And I could see for myself at the growth that's happening there, right? The ecosystem applications at Basecamp, it was incredible. And they're all high quality, okay? Which is something I can't say about a lot of other, ecosystems. Now, SUI Play even was actually shown, and I got to play on the device at SUI Basecamp. Okay, now this is kind of like Solana's Saga phone from the previous cycle. If you guys remember, this caused a massive buzz in the ecosystem in crypto because we had everyone raving on about these new Saga phones that were going to take the world by storm and have, crypto application. Well, SUI's got their own version, but it's for gaming. Okay, so it's tackling the gaming vertical now as well, and they, sold out of all their devices. Very, very good news. Now, the most, I think, bullish ecosystem application that I have on my mind here is Walrus. I made a full video on Walrus actually recently. These guys are at a 700 million market cap recently, and this is also tackling a new vertical, which is the decentralized storage vertical. Now, again, this is a new project built by Meissen Labs, so the same people who built SUI, but I'm kind of wrapping it in the SUI here because I think this is actually a better storage product than our traditional storage products like Filecoin and Arweave. Okay, it's probably the best on the market right now, and it's kind of proving that with amazing connections like Plume, Pudgy Penguins, and a whole bunch more already. Okay, and again, this is built next to SUI using SUI's Move smart contract language to increase the speed, essentially. So again, the ecosystem's flourishing here. And I think you can see by the engagements, people are also talking about it more. And you kind of want both to work hand in hand. If the ecosystem is growing, more applications are being built, the applications are getting better, people are, stablecoin market caps increasing, therefore people are able to come in, more wallets, again, more money. Then, of course, retail is going to be talking about it more. And that's kind of what we're seeing here with the engagements. The engagements are rocketing. Okay, now, most projects are down on their engagements over the last 3 months, 1 to 3 months. You can see SUI's holding kind of steady here. That's normal. The market's down, interest is kind of wishy-washy. In alt season, I expect it to do what it's done back over here, which is go parabolic, because that's what SUI's done the last 3-4 times. The market's gotten interesting to most people, okay? We have 21 shares also looking to create a SUI ETF as well. Now, 21 shares, these guys have been around for a while, okay? They've made a fair few ETFs, and it seems like now they are about to dive into SUI. And like I said, this was all announced at Basecamp. So Basecamp was incredible, okay? A lot of amazing announcements. So now it's the fun part. Kyron, what about the price prediction for SUI? Well, again, it's kind of hard because, how long's a piece of string? We don't really know where the price of these coins can definitely go. I have my predictions and my thoughts, and I have those in the private community, of course. But I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of information that you can possibly look at yourself to help you go, oh, that's possible or that's not possible. And that's looking at the depth, all right? So how much money is actually required to move SUI up the multiples myself or other influencers, or maybe even you have been thinking it could go to? Okay, it's all got to do with depth. And I've made a full video on that. I'll leave the link to it down below recently. It dives into the fact that you don't need as much money as you may think to move the coin up in terms of growth. People think, hey, SUI's a 10 billion market cap coin. For it to go to $6.40, right, double, you need double the market cap. Now, while it will register double the market cap, you don't actually need that much money to move the coin. As a matter of fact, if we actually dive into it here, for SUI to 2x to $6.50, you only need $600 million of positive buy pressure to buy it. Now, this is also including the fact that we have some sell pressure as well, okay? And also the fact that the order books, which are these things here, are going to get bigger, meaning it's going to require more money to move the coin. So I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible. But all this is to say, whether it's 600 million or a billion, you don't need 10 billion to move the price of SUI up at 2x. As you can see here, you might need 1/10 or less than 1/10. And so looking at now like a 20x from here, or let's start at a 10x, keep it quite simple, right? A 10x, SUI going from $3.20 to $32, okay, the market cap would be 108 billion, but you only need around $20 billion. Again, this is accounting for it and growing and a growing and a growing, order book and also sell pressure. So 100 billion, but you need 20 billion, it's again 1/5. So it's much smaller than you may think. And at 30x, you can see here going up to $100, the market cap would seem crazy, 300 billion. And yes, it's likely not to go that high this bull run, but you would need about $187 billion. So about half of that, again, accounting for the fact that the order book and sell pressure really starts to expand. So we need more money investing in it to move it up to that level. So like I said, guys, there's a lot of potential here. You know, people often tell me, Kyron, there's no way this coin can reach that high market cap. There's no possible way. Well, I think looking into the price predictions and actually really, you don't need as much money to actually flow into a coin like SUI to move it up to those levels. And also the fact that this coin is working their ass off on trying to make it as easy and efficient as possible for new money to come in and blow up the ecosystem and therefore more retail to flow in, then I think it's definitely possible. Now, I'm not going to give my own price prediction in this video. I might dive deeper into breaking down market dominance and, again, logistically where SUI could go to at different market caps in a future video. Let me know if you want to actually see that down below, because I will make it if there is a high enough response. But given what we know right now, again, I think that SUI's in one of the better positions than most altcoins if we have alt season. So thank you all for watching this video. Let me know you've made it this far by going down there and using the money emoji. I want to know who made it this far. I appreciate you all. All the best. Bye-bye.